Forgot all about that
All
DS9
right.
Christmas.
All right. I still haven't seen that video yet. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's episode of Exploring Star Trek Discovery. I am your host, Average Joe the Average Geek, and with me is Will Smith this week. I've got one
Hey, how
of
you
the
doing?
three. Yeah. Dude. I'm missing Discovery already. I got to find me the chat. I'm going to pull up the chat real quick so we can see if what people are talking about. Let's see. Go ahead and pop that up.
Yeah. Every Sunday, my wife's still asking, "Oh, when is Discovery on tonight? Is Discovery on tonight?" Nope, it's not. Sorry.
Tonight. I know it's sad. I wish it was on. I wish it was on every Sunday, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It'll
Right.
be back. It'll be back soon enough. Let me go ahead and get all that adjusted. There we go. Should have done that before the show started. But anyway, all right. So this is going to be part 2 of our kind of mid-season review. Last week we talked about. Oh man, we talked about Klingons. We talked about canon. We talked about the ship. We talked about the individual episodes. We talked about all kinds of stuff. I figured this week we'll talk about Lorca. We'll talk about the Spore Drive. We'll talk a little bit about Stamets, maybe a little mirror universe. We'll see what happens. I'm definitely awaiting the Trekkie backlash for that and this, but December 15th is quickly approaching, and that is my sole religious holiday of the year. So it'll be okay.
I'm right with you, pal.
So, all right. Well, where do you want to start?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go with Gabriel Lorca.
Gabriel Lorca. All right, Gabriel Lorca. I'm digging him. I think he's a great captain. I think he is a damaged man, but I think he's completely capable to do what he does. I think he's probably the captain Starfleet needs in this time of war.
Definitely. Much mystery behind that face. Of course, he's had the Admiral. Not sure his back, but wow, mixing business with pleasure is never a good thing in Starfleet. So,
No, there's an old Earth saying, "Don't crap where you eat." And
right.
see, if I'd have said the other word, this video would have been demonetized. The YouTube ad apocalypse and all, but yeah, don't crap where you eat, man. That's just generally good advice. You don't want to.
Right.
You don't want to diddle the bits of your subordinates. You don't want to diddle the bits of your boss. It's probably not going to turn out that good for anybody, especially if you are in command of a highly experimental Starfleet vessel and or command over a sector or fleet of ships. But that was some very good kind of character moments right there between Cat Cornwell, and Gabriel Lorca right there. She hesitated for a moment, then it was real quick to just kind of take off that badge. Old habits die hard.
Yep.
So it's definitely pretty cool. I'm digging her character as well as Gabriel Lorca's. I think we're getting a lot of good development there. I think it's a complex relationship, but a good relationship. It's something to add in a different flavor to what we usually see in Star Trek. I don't really remember any previous captains fiddling with their admirals.
No. It's always been, Kirk, other people that are lower in rank, but yeah, but this takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of speculation going on about Gabriel Lorca, whether or not he is of this universe or not, or
Yeah.
what's going on with him. Do you give into the whole mirror universe, parallel world theory of Gabriel Lorca, or do you think he is firmly established in our universe?
I think he's firmly established in our universe. But at the same time, I can understand where everyone else is coming from too, because it's got that little hint of mirror. Because he put that on the console, to stop the Spore Drive like in mid jump.
Yeah, I
But
wish.
is there an ulterior motive behind that?
Yeah, I wish I
You
understood
know?
that. I wish I understood that. I firmly I agree that he is definitely he's not mirror universe or what have you. He's not a representative of the Terran Empire. But I do feel that the idea of him losing his ship scares him to no end, and interfering with the spore jump there at the very end of the mid season was an expression of that fear. That as
Mm,
soon as he gets back to Starbase, whatever, they're going to try to take his ship. And he lost one ship, horribly, violently with the Baran. He's not psychologically prepared to lose another ship. Of course, again, you kind of adds a little flavor to what we were just talking about, how he is the captain Starfleet needs in this war. But
mm-hmm.
if he's not psychologically able to take that loss, is he really?
Yeah.
It's definitely giving some layers to this captain that we haven't really seen a whole lot before. Um, Up until the best of both worlds, Picard was very, very straightforward. Didn't have a lot of depth either way. But when his involvement with the Borg kicked in, it really developed his character into a different angle. Where apparently all of a sudden we had to question him, and Starfleet had to question him. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, the Baran is Lorca's Locutus.
That's an interesting premise. Are they really going to trust him again after everything he's been through? Hmm.
I mean, we even saw in First Contact. In First Contact, we've got a massive Borg invasion in Sector 001. We've got Borg ships attacking Earth, and Starfleet tells the flagship, the most powerful ship in the fleet, a sovereign class warship under the command of the most accomplished captain of that era of Starfleet, to no, we got it. We can't trust you. You stay over there near the briar patch, near the neutral zone, scanning this stuff, and we'll take care of the Borg. Um, Thankfully, Picard said, and went anyway, or else,
I
Earth would
think
have
I
been
speak for everyone here when I
sprawled.
say to hell with the orders.
Exactly. Exactly. Um, so it kind of makes you wonder if we're going to have moments like that with Gabriel Lorca. Um, but I don't want to question his motives because of what we've seen through the first half of the season. But man, dude, fiddling with that jump, it's I don't understand it, and because I don't understand it, I I don't want to lean to the negative, but it was such a wild thing to do. I can't help it.
Now, here's a theory that I just thought of. Maybe this universe that we were seeing is a type of alternate universe back into the universe of Kirk that we've seen in the original series, if that was such a thing.
I've read that theory. That theory's been bounded around a lot by a lot of fans. I don't know if we were in the prime universe. I firmly believe that we are in the proper universe. We are in the prime universe. Um, and I know that makes a lot of people uncomfortable because it is so wildly different in a lot of respects to the original series. Design, aesthetics, and stuff like that. But
Right.
I don't know. I'm dubious about that idea.
Yeah, I mean they promised that in season two is going to be a little bit more um canon rich story, things that we would just kind of just just jump right into, as fanboys, we just jump right into all the stuff that we know and we love back from the original series. So they're actually promising us some stuff in season two. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. I'm really digging this new way of telling the story. The longer meta arc. Uh,
Right.
the longer meta arc, the longer the way of telling the story that's away from the episodicness. I really like this new way of telling the story, and it's so different than the way Trek has been told in the past that it may have lost a few people, because they're constantly wanting to compare it to what Trek was before, and I understand that comparison to Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll see those comparisons between Star Trek Discovery and the Orville, and the Orville is a wonderful new show. Wonderful new show that kind of harkens back to that old format of Star Trek. But you'll see people say that, oh, the Orville is more Star Trek than Discovery right now. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think the Orville is developing its own voice and is moving away from the idea of it being a Star Trek clone or what have you.
Right.
But this new way of telling the story allows for a lot deeper character studies. Look at the character study we've had of Michael Burnham, Gabriel Lorca. I am hoping in season 2 that we will see a bit more development of some of the other crew members, but it's not their story. It is Michael Burnham's story.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that in season 2 we are going to see Andorians, we are going to see Tellarites. The producers have already said that, and we are going to step closer and closer to the visual canon of the original series. Whatever that means. whatever that means. Who knows?
Right.
In my mind, it's easy for me to look at the original series and look at it was 1966. Okay. It was a low budget 1966 television series. I can look at that and in my mind's eye update it to the 21st century. And to
Yeah.
me, that's what Discovery is, because we're getting the sound effects. We're getting the ship designs very similar to the original series, but everything's updated. Even the consoles and such, we're getting, switches and dials in addition to the touchscreens. Like it wouldn't make sense in a society now where everything is touchscreen. Everything is touchscreen in our society right now. For all of a sudden, in 150, 250 years, that just goes away. That doesn't make sense. And I understand the adherence to the Bible of canon, and I understand the adherence to the Bible, the visual canon. But we have to update it. We have to.
Yeah, I mean,
We
and
have
you had to do that with Enterprise too. Enterprise was updated like by leaps and bounds back when it premiered in 2001, but it still maintained that visual as far as the similar to the Enterprise, the
Yeah,
original Enterprise.
yeah,
And even then when the original series was going through the revision, the remastered series, I mean they took some liberties and updated a few ships where you just don't see the same type of D7 going across the screen,
yeah,
So I mean, yeah. So I mean, it's going to be updated. I mean, and there's no, you can't really expect that to be all, 60s technology. So
yeah.
yeah, like you said, you got to do it with your mind's eye. You got to update it in your eye.
Yeah, and I think Discovery's done a pretty fantastic job of that. And the novel Desperate Hours kind of gives a way of doing that too. About it talks about the Constitution being a newer vessel and the Shinzo being a decades old vessel. Like the Shinzo is almost the halfway point between the NX-01 and the 1701. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to continue to see that progression. I would love And I think we almost have to see a Constitution class vessel next season. Not necessarily the
Yeah,
Enterprise, not necessarily the Enterprise, but I mean we could see the USS Constitution. We need still that way we can have that barometer. We can have that that measuring stick, that yardstick for the visual canon. So if we see, Star Trek Discovery Constitution class vessel, and we see the bridge of that Constitution class vessel, then we can update our minds for what the Enterprise is in this version, in this story. I think that'll go a long way to
right.
allaying people's fears. Go a long way to kind of line things up with canon because again, it's only 10 years out. It's only 10 years before the original series, and these are important things.
Yeah,
Kind of the
definitely.
nature. It's kind of the nature of the beast. It's when you're playing with canon, you can't be so strictly adherent to canon that you limit your design capabilities, but you can't completely ignore it either. And I don't think Discovery is ignoring it. A lot of people out there do. This is the most contentious aspect of this show is the visual canon. Um, the story canon lines up. Um, there are questions regarding the Spore Hub drive and what happens there, and I'm sure we'll get into that here shortly when we start talking about the Spore Hub drive, which is an amazing
Yeah.
piece of technology. But something has to happen, whatever that may be. Something has to happen. Uh,
Yes, I agree.
um, because even it was kind of brought up that in 2372 Voyagers in the Delta Quadrant, they have the entire history of Starfleet technology in their computer banks. There has to be something in there for the Spore Hub drive, and if that basic science is in that system, why couldn't they replicate it? There's questions like that.
Well, maybe it's happens whenever they get back from wherever they're at right now that they may put it under extreme classified to only the top ranked admirals who even know about the technology.
Yeah, or
That
Section
that
30.
everyone that knows about it, yeah, that everyone that knows about it, or pretty much, they're sworn to secrecy from that point on, and they just go to standard, Cochrane drive.
I'm leaning towards a calamity happening, and the mycelium network is destroyed.
That's
Because
feasible. Yeah.
then we can have that conversation that Star Trek is great as having. Like, okay, so we can use this drive, but we're discovering that it is killing native species. Because the mycelium network is a native species into itself, and it's the exploitation of a species for personal gain, which is in itself against Starfleet ethos.
Yeah. Right.
So maybe something happens there which, destroys the mycelium network. And then all of a sudden, Starfleet is responsible for the eradication of a species. Not a sentient species, but a species nevertheless. Maybe. And if the mycelium network's destroyed, no more Spore Hub drive.
True.
So, well, Michael Smith is logged in the chat. We've been talking right here. I was like, hey, he says, hey, didn't know this show was happening. Yeah, I put in a live notice a couple of hours ago on the Facebook page, and I put it in one of the groups, and then all the other Star Trek groups. It takes 12 to 14 to 24 hours to to get a post approved, and that sucks. Let's see. Stephen Stott goes, that becomes sort of the same canon problem that we are having with explaining the Borg and knowledge of the Borg in Starfleet prior to the Enterprise D. Well, yeah. Well, it kind of a little okay, Stephen Stott. I see what you're saying. However, the timeline was changed with the Enterprise E went back in time. The Facebook page is that I posted this information on was the Star Trek Discovery unofficial fan page. That's where I put a lot of these notifications for the show on there. So definitely check out that group. Um, when the Enterprise E went back in time to face the Borg, and the Borg ship was destroyed, and Lily met the Borg and went back in time, the timeline was irrevocably changed. Um, and we see that in Enterprise when Enterprise has their interaction with the crashed Borg vessel in the Arctic, and we meet the Borg early. So it's safe to assume that from that point on, the timeline had changed to a degree that when the Enterprise D makes contact with the Borg, they would already know about it, even though we have no proof of that because Enterprise came after Next Generation. Does that make any sense? I feel like that made sense. So
Right.
we don't really know because we haven't seen a version of the Next Generation post, you know, time time travel mechanics are weird.
Yeah.
It's a small world. One goes, hello, hope I didn't miss it. Hello, it's a small world. No, you didn't miss a whole lot. We're just continuing our discussion from last week. Tala Patel, welcome to the show. Said it was nice to tie in at the end of Enterprise. The Borg were able to send a message to the Delta Quadrant. A message would be reached by Next Generation time to attack Earth. Yeah, there we go. So, temporal mechanics are fun.
Yeah, always fun.
So, the Spore Hub drive, steered it back on course. Something has to happen. If it's a treaty between the Klingons and the Federation that says the Spore Hub drive cannot be used. That's one possibility. But that being said, the science is still there. 2, the mycelium network is completely destroyed. 3, it becomes detrimental to the crew, so it's abandoned. It can't be done safely, so it's abandoned. Now, there's a few possibilities and one of these possibilities, and probably a couple more that I'm not thinking of right now, has to occur. And I assume that it would occur pretty soon because in seasons 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 25, 35, whenever we get of this show, I kind of like them to switch to the Cochrane drive and get a little traditional Trek with the Cochrane drive. So I'm going to pose that question to chat right now. What do you think is going to happen to the Spore drive? Is the mycelium network going to be destroyed? Is it going to become detrimental to the crew? Is it going to get, politicked out? What do y'all think about the Spore drive? What do you think is going to happen to the Spore drive, Will?
Well, I'm thinking maybe about the transwarp drive experiments. I'm also thinking Equinox since Section 31, of course, have to get involved in that. Wow. Yeah. It's probably. I really feel like it's going to get politicized out of existence, so to speak.
Right.
That only, like I said, like top ranking officials will only know about it from that point on.
Tal Patel goes destroyed. All knowledge of the drive classified and destroyed. That seems likely. And the next question is, let's see, Steven Stein goes, I think something will happen that affects the network for good. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, where the mycelium network is either damaged or destroyed or becomes inaccessible. Something has to happen. Very curious as to what that has to be and when that's going to occur. I think it's going to occur soon. I really do. Let's see. Okay, since we're talking about the Spore Hub drive, let's go ahead and talk about Paul Stamets. When we first meet the character in episode 3, I hated him. I thought he was just douchey McDoucherson. Really did. I mean, not that he was a bad character. Not that he wasn't portrayed. I mean, he's being portrayed wonderfully by Anthony Rapp. I just he's just such a douche.
Yeah.
And then then he started going on his mushroom trips. You know, Grateful Dead did the engineering section there. It became a much more likable character. But I'm curious as to how, you know, because some crazy things went down in the mid-season finale when he made 133 consecutive jumps, and then one actual jump, one more jump on top of that, that was, you know, cut short. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen the second half of the season, because I don't think that's not a viable way of travel when it's doing that to your crew member. Something's got to give there. Let's see. Patel says it'll be destroyed by the end of the season, or be shut off by the end of the season. Then they'll use it to get back, and then it's destroyed. Maybe. This is Small World Girls. I think that technology will be obsolete because we'll not find a comparable pilot. Maybe that's definitely a possibility right there. There's a lot of questions. The
Yeah.
idea of plugging someone or something into the system that causes, you know, biological harm. That's not something that will ever sit well with Starfleet. And I am sorry, I'm getting a call from Patrick. He's calling me as opposed to joining the program, so I'm gonna go ahead and send him an invite here so we can get him in on the show. Yes, me typing. That is riveting entertainment.
But yeah, with Paul Stamets being mixed with the tardigrade DNA, of course, you know, it being a very big ethical question, which we talked about, I don't think there could be another way that they can actually use the spore drive without another living creature.
Yeah,
Um, so that alone would probably shut down the entire program.
just from an ethical point of view. More than likely, that's probably probably
Yeah.
the angle they're going to take, is that it's just an unethical system. It requires too much. It's just, you know, it requires torturing of a living animal to use it.
Hmm.
That's not something Starfleet would do. It kind of makes me wonder if Starfleet even knows how it's being navigated, whether or not. So, not this one. Say hello to Pat, everybody. Not wrong chat, buddy. I sent you an invite to the proper one. Yeah, riveting entertainment. So yeah, I think I don't even think that Starfleet knows what's going on. You know, I don't know if Lorca is really reporting the way he needs to the people in charge about whether, oh yeah, we got the Sport Hub drive going and we figured out how to navigate wherever we need to do. But the problem is we have to torture people to do it. I don't think that was included. Don't think that was included in his reports.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this kind of in some way reminds me of, you know, an advancement in technology during times of war. You know, you've seen stuff like this before in World War II. All this experimentation on humans, and but in trying to advance it in some form very unethically, and but now here you're in a time of war with the Klingons, and you're doing something very unethical. You're going to submit your crewmen to 133 jumps, knowing they could possibly well kill him in the process of it.
Absolutely. Well,
So
it's Small World points out. I forgot about this. Small World goes. They know because Admiral Cornwell confronted Lorca for using eugenics. That's right. Cornwell did confront Lorca for using eugenics, and Lorca sold her sold her out to the Klingons like
yep.
5 seconds later. So I forgot about that. Let's see. Steven Stein goes, I really hope we don't lose Stamets by the end of the season. I'm also guessing that Stamets' side effects connected to the whole universe is probably going to have detrimental effects. I can imagine so. I can imagine so as well. I definitely think that the effects that Stamets is feeling are probably going to be permanent. There's a wonderful little fan theory out there that Stamets becomes the Traveler from the original series, and that's actually kind of cool. It's not a bad fan theory. I don't believe it per se, but it's definitely interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty interesting way of, or if at least he becomes, or he gets, at the end of this season, he because the Starfleet has knowledge of the Traveler in the Next Generation, and he's, comes on board and starts enhancing systems, and he meets Wesley Crusher, and he and Wesley Crusher go off and travel the galaxy together. Maybe the Traveler, one of the Traveler species comes up, grabs Stamets, is like, you know what, dude, come with us. Maybe. See, Talha Patel goes, I can't see Lorca stay until the end of season 1, especially when he was caused the bad jump at the end. Yeah, something's going to happen there. I do think that Lorca is on a path to lose his commission. Which is sad, because, he needs help. Maybe he'll get his commission back in the future, but I do think he is going to lose command of Discovery at some point.
But who will replace him in Discovery? That's the bigger question, if that's the case.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Like, who would you have? Who would you have replace Lorca? Because there's nobody on the Discovery that can replace Lorca right now. Saru is far too timid. Yeah, he's not. Saru's not really fit for command. Not yet, anyway. No. He's got a long way to go. I can't see anybody on the bridge, fit for the captain's chair either. So who are you going to give it to? Michael Burnham, the mutineer? I mean,
if push comes to shove and things are on the line, then they may just give her a temporary field commission.
Yeah, but a field commission, fine, but a field commission back to captain? It's like, okay. I mean, because I firmly believe that Michael Burnham's sentence should be commuted. I really do, because of, valor, whole 9 yards. She deserves for her sentence to be commuted. But I don't think she should immediately be given the rank of lieutenant commander again either, or a commander or a captain. I think she can have her sentence commuted and she can be jumped back up to ensign, and then spend the next 20.
Well, you gotta look at Kirk. He saved the world and he got demoted and ranked back to captain.
Well, he stole a ship. Well, he stole the flagship of the Federation. That's a little different.
You sabotaged the Excelsior.
Yeah, nobody knew about that.
That was like a slap on the wrist for Kirk.
Who knew pulling 4 little isolinear chips out of the computer would completely derail the transport program? Just completely derailed the future of warp drive.
Yeah, you got to think about that. It was a failed experiment after that.
It's like they never figured out that it was these 4 little isolinear chips that were pulled out. Like, it's like, oh, transwarp doesn't work. That's it. It's over.
Never and only again. Scotty knows the secret. That's it.
I can see him walking around with a little pouch. It just has those chips, just like sitting right here. Well, who knows? Like, I don't know who would take command. Like, let's see who. Small World goes maybe Admiral Cornwell until the captain is replacement captain can be found. Maybe. Who knows? So I kind of. It's so hard to say. It's so hard to say. It really could go any way. It really, really could. Let's see. See what else did I want to talk about tonight. Let's talk about. Well, we talked about Ash Tyler last episode briefly. I think Ash Tyler is Vogue. I do. There was definitely enough evidence out there. The name of the actor being leaked. His real name versus his pseudonym. Being in the show. So I really think we're going to get that reveal that Ash Tyler is Vogue very soon. Probably the next couple of episodes, because the season is 15 episodes long. We have 9 episodes, so we have 6 episodes left in the season. So this reveal is going to happen pretty quickly, because that's going to be a huge blow to the psyche of Gabriel Lorca, who is already on a knife's edge anyway and going to snap at some point. Because now it's going to be, that's just another question of his command ability. So you personally vouched for this guy, and he turns out to be a Klingon spy. That's not going to look good. It's just going to be another hit.
And that's not foreign to Star Trek. It's happened before.
That is absolutely true. Steven Scott goes, I'm thinking that Burnham will probably do something at the level of Kirk's greatness that will warrant her getting back into graces of Starfleet, probably doing something that will end the war. Yeah, I do agree that Burnham is going to do something that will help end the war. It's kind of Chekhov's gun over the mantelpiece. Chekhov the writer, not Chekhov the helmsman. Chekhov's gun is the idea that if you see a gun over the mantelpiece in the first act, that gun has to be fired by the end of the second act. So hey, Pat figured it out. What's up, Pat? Watch that gesture, we'll get demonetized.
Okay.
Right. We're talking about the idea that when Lorca looked at Michael Burnham and goes, "You started this war, don't you want to help finish it?" I feel like that was Chekhov's gun over the mantelpiece. That has to be fired headed into the third act. That Burnham has to do something to end the war. So I think Steven Stott was right on the money with that. Burnham is going to do a major act, something. I mean, apart from what she did in the mid-season finale, which was pretty BA.
Right.
So, what you think, Pat? What do you think about Michael Burnham? You think Michael Burnham's going to get back into good graces of Starfleet?
Yeah, I think so. But the question is, will Starfleet, let that happen? They, as you said last week, they used her as a scapegoat, right?
They did. They definitely did at the very beginning. It was, because I think, she didn't start the war. Takuvma started the war. But people and politicians and people in power and human beings in general like having someone to blame. They like having somebody to, even if it's just completely not true, completely fabricated, there has to be a boogeyman in every situation. It's kind of human nature. So Starfleet naturally turned Michael Burnham into the boogeyman. Not saying Michael Burnham didn't F up, because she absolutely did. I mean, she screwed the pooch in the prologue episodes pretty heavily. There's no denying that. But did she start the war? No. See, Steven Song goes, my rationale is that Georgiou considered her ready for command before the mutiny. We are seeing examples of how sharp Burnham is. Burnham's a knife. She's a very gifted officer. Her missteps in the prologue episodes were her reconciling her Vulcan side and her human side, and that argument there. But I think that argument is getting resolved every time we see the character, and she is sharp as a vibro knife. She really is. It's a Small World goes, do you think Ash or Laurel will survive the end of the season? I think Laurel will. I think Laurel is going to stick around for a good long time because I think Laurel has played the long game.
Yeah. Yeah, this whole thing was a long thought out plan.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
So the long game is the best method to for her.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's definitely playing, every side she can. Like the only side that she's on is her own. everybody else is just completely serve her wishes and no one else's. I really feel that way. It wouldn't surprise me if she has aspirations to be at the top of the Klingon Council, and it wouldn't surprise me that if this season or two she finds herself at the top of the Klingon Council.
First, you got to go Discovery first. All that crap.
Oh yeah. So. Oh yeah. Well, that's going to happen. That's absolutely going to happen. You know when that's going to happen? When Ash Tyler breaks her out. That's when that's going to happen.
It's going to be one of those search your feelings moments.
Absolutely.
He's standing. Standing at the brig, door with a phaser pointing to her, ready to pop her head off. Search your feelings. You know the right thing to do.
Yep.
And just hits it.
Steven Sass says Laurel will probably hook up with one of the Duras boys. Oh, probably. Probably. That wouldn't surprise me. That would surprise me because there's so many Klingon houses that we haven't even seen yet.
Yeah.
There's a whole other side of the Klingons that we haven't met yet. So I'm really curious to see what's going down now. Because remember in Enterprise, when the older Klingon, I can't remember his name, but he was all gray and stuff like that. He had these deep conversations with Archer, who was like, Archer's like, you didn't think we were all warriors, did you? My father was an artist. My mother was a teacher, or something very similar to that. We haven't met those people. We're seeing the Klingons right now in a time of cultural crisis. And there's some charismatic warlords that want to seize it all. And it wouldn't surprise me that if we see the other side of the Klingon society kind of rise up to help end the war. That the teachers and the artists and the architects and the engineers, the non-warriors of Klingon society go, well, time out. Nope, we're good. We'll be Klingons over here. Y'all stay over there. No need for war. Like, too many people are dying. And when that happens, that is if and I think when that happens, it is going to be one of the greatest moments in Klingon storytelling we've ever had in Star Trek. But maybe that's just me. And I think Laurel's going to have something to do with that. Maybe not directly. We'll find out. I don't know what I don't know what her game is. I don't know if she. I don't know. Who knows what she's thinking? She's crazy, brilliant, but crazy.
Well, and what do you think about Cadet Tilly this season?
I think she's great. I think Cadet Tilly is all of us. That's who I think. That's who I think Tilly is. Tilly is the Trekkie. Tilly is the one that got, she's all of us, So when she was talking with Stamets and she gets all excited, he's like, "Oh, that's effing cool!" Like,
you're right, Cadet.
Yeah, you're right, Cadet. It is effing cool. She is. That is without a doubt exactly what any of us would say in that situation. If we're sitting there in the engineering sections of a Starfleet vessel, finding a new warp drive system, all of us, everybody in chat, all of us in this room, right in this Google Hangout, every Trekkie on planet Earth would go, "Oh, that's effing cool," because it is.
I don't know. I probably have a religious moment in engineering. Drop my knees. You're like, "Oh my
god!"
Yeah. Tilly is just that all American, like that girl next door, the one that we've all known in high school. So yeah, can definitely relate to Tilly, and we do know that she may become a captain.
I think Captain is definitely in her future. It's Small Girls. Tilly will survive the season, but she'll be on Discovery when the war ends. She'll probably be in the Academy. I don't know if she'll ever go back to the Academy. Like, this is her kind of internship. It wouldn't surprise me that if she graduates the Academy right there on the Discovery, that she takes her final exams. It would surprise me if we see an episode either at the end of this season or the beginning of next season of her taking her final exams via remote.
Yeah, after everything that she's experienced, I wouldn't want to leave Discovery ever.
Oh, yeah.
I'm camping out here, dog.
Depending on what Lorca does, you might want to leave Discovery. That entirely depends on what Lorca does the second half of the season.
Exactly.
As gifted a captain as he is, he's
insane in membrane.
He's a little broken. which I'm a Lorca fan. I really am. Steven Stein goes, if it tracks, she should be in her senior year in the Academy. That is when they do their midshipman tour on a starship. Yeah. Of course, I don't know if she's on her midshipman tour or whether or not she's just on loan before her, astrophysics knowledge. Either way, it would count. So we'll see what happens with Tilly in the future. But, when Stamets came out of the Grateful Dead drive. And it was like, Captain, like I really think he saw the future at that point. I do think she has Captain in her, some little science vessel somewhere probably would put her on the front line of any combat.
Turn till it runs.
But somewhere out there studying spatial anomalies or something like that. Makes sense to me. But she definitely has Captain in her future. Well, let's see. Okay, well, we got about 10 or 15 minutes left of this episode right here. So, what do we want to see happen in the second half of the season? Will?
I really want to see Mirror Universe. And it was hinted at, and there's no way you can avoid it. And Stamets was looking at the mirror, and he walks away, and there his reflection looking back. That has to be Mirror Universe.
Right. Eric Taylor, no, we have not talked about Quentin Tarantino's Star Trek yet, but we will in a minute. I don't know if y'all saw that news or not, but we'll get there soon.
All right.
News to me.
Yeah, it's going to blow your freaking mind, dude. It really is, because it's nuts. It's the craziest Star Trek news I've ever read in my life, and I can't wait.
Well, drop the bomb now. Let's go.
All right, let's go ahead and drop the bomb now. So we just got a report a few hours ago that J.J. Abrams and Quentin Tarantino. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up the. Give me just a second to pull up the news article. Let's see. Quentin Tarantino, Star Trek. All right, so this is being reported by pretty much everywhere: Variety, Gizmodo, comicbook.com. And I'm just going to read the article off right now. Pop-ups. This article was posted on December 4th by author Joseph Schmidt on comicbook.com. Prolific director Quentin Tarantino made headlines months ago when he said that he would be open to directing a new Star Trek film. And even though he's preparing his latest film with Sony Pictures, Paramount is moving forward with plans for Tarantino to steward the franchise, with help from a writer's room headed by J.J. Abrams. A report from Deadline states that Tarantino came up with a great idea for a new Star Trek film, and that Abrams will produce it if it moves forward. The plan now involves assembling a group of writers to hear Tarantino's story and try to develop a script for a potential film. Tarantino kickstarted the Star Trek frenzy in September when he appeared on the Nerdist podcast, revealing what fascinated him about making a film in the franchise. Quote, I think one of the best episodes of Star Trek ever written was for Star Trek The Next Generation, Tarantino said, speaking about the episode Yesterday's Enterprise, where an Enterprise ship from the past breaks through a time rift and alters the course of history. Quote, I actually think that is not only one of the greatest space stories, but the way it dealt with the mythology of the whole thing that could actually bear a 2-hour treatment. Because the whole thing with that episode was so cool. They saved the ship, but little do they know by saving the ship, it's actually in a different time period. But they don't know that, Tarantino said. Quote, but what ends up happening is because they screwed up with the timeline, everything changes. The characters don't know it, but we know it. And the thing about it is, it turns out that the Klingons and the humans on Earth have been having this 100-year war that's been going on, and it's just the bloodiest war imaginable in the history of any universe. So, they are in the earliest stages of a Quentin Tarantino-produced Star Trek movie.
I have no words.
Quentin Tarantino is one of the most gifted writers in film history. Now, a lot of people are going to think immediately that it means it's going to be F-bomb this, F-bomb that, gangsters in Star Wars or what have you. No, he's going to be true to the Star Trek, or I said Star Wars, gangsters in Star Trek material. It's going to be true to what Star Trek is, but wow. What?
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Who would have thought this would ever happen, you know?
Yeah, I read that article in September when they had the idea of how he would, because they asked him, like, would you direct a Star Wars movie or would you direct a Star Trek movie? And he went with Star Trek. I didn't think they would actually move through with it. So his conversations with J.J. Abrams, he must have come up with one hell of an idea.
So when he talked with the Nerdist, and he referenced Yesterday's Enterprise, that ship coming in the current time, screwing that timeline, really that ship and that crew should be all dead.
Yeah.
Make a 2 hour movie kind of loosely based on that.
No, I don't think he's going to make a movie based on yesterday's Enterprise, but he referenced that episode as one of the best episodes of Trek, as a very, complicated and great story. Not that he would base a movie off of it, but he did acknowledge that that episode could be made into a movie.
Well, no,
not saying that he's going to make a movie version of that, because I don't think that's what's going to happen.
No, I'm just saying using that mythos.
Maybe we don't know
that outline. If that's the case, then hell
cool. I don't even think he's going to use that outline as a movie. Like this was 2 separate articles put it together. The article is that he's working with a group of writers at J.J. Abrams to come up with an idea, and then they referenced what he said with Nerdist about yesterday's Enterprise. Not that is what's going to be used in the writer's room, but it does give a nice example of what Quentin Tarantino thinks is good Star Trek. And yesterday's Enterprise is what? Top 10 best Trek episodes of all time?
Yeah.
There's an argument to be made for that. Easily top 10.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So if that's his idea of good Star Trek, I would not mind seeing further ideas from him.
Is one of his staples in almost all of his movies, Sam Jackson. Do we see Sam Jackson in a Star Trek?
Got all these mother flipping Klingons on my mother flipping ship.
Yes.
He could be Cisco's like grandfather or something.
I gotta tell you, I cuss like a sailor in real life. I really don't want these videos to get demonetized.
Oh, that's the reason why. Okay.
Adpocalypse it's hurt. Even my small channel, it's hurting my channel because all of my videos get demonetized. And once a video gets demonetized, it doesn't show up in search results. It doesn't show up in suggested feeds. You get algorithm shanked. So, yeah. So yes, mother flipping Klingons on my mother flipping ship.
Censor.
Right. It's like, just reach in that bag and grab my phaser. Well, which one is yours? It's the one that says bad mother on it.
It's named Big Burger.
That would definitely happen.
I can see the opening scene of Reservoir Dogs taking place in 10 Forward. It's crazy. That's for sure. No doubt. So, well, that's crazy news. That is unreal news to me. I can't wait to see what comes of it. Maybe nothing will come from it. Maybe something awesome will come from it. This is in the various early stages of them getting some writers together to start spitballing some ideas. Yeah, like, bring it on. Tarantino Trek. Please.
Be some cool phaser with that. It'd be some cool phaser battles, one-on-one phaser battles.
I just remember just think of the dialogue, okay? The scene when Picard is getting tortured by the Cardassian. It's like, there are 5 lights. There are 4 lights. Like, imagine that scene written by Quentin Tarantino. I mean, It's okay, Steven Stein. We can mention the name of that other franchise. He goes, Samuel does have the ability to contain. He played a cool Mace Windu in that other franchise. What other franchise? This other franchise? This other franchise?
Yeah,
10 days, people.
Joe's been making little subtle drops all episode long.
Seriously? Yeah.
Oh, equal opportunity geeks here, guys.
Yeah, you are.
I feel like we need to have a. It seems like goes, yeah, that one. LOL. Awesome. So yeah, we're in a great way to end this episode right now. We talk a lot about the mid-season report card of Star Trek Discovery. It's fantastic. We got to talk about some Quentin Tarantino Trek. Maybe in this show we'll start a Star Trek news segment, and we'll talk a little bit about some Star Trek news from week to week, kind of diversify. Maybe turn this into a Star Trek show as opposed to just necessarily a... Steven Stein goes, I am immune to your subliminal messaging.
No one is immune.
You will watch Star Wars.
You will.
Man, that's funny. So next week we're going to begin our best of Trek and worst of Trek. So real quick in the chat, we're going to spend a few minutes right now. Please give your nominations for the best of Star Trek. Let's watch one from, we'll do, what, three?
Three?
I think three's fair.
Yeah.
So please chat. What is your opinion, the greatest episodes of Star Trek? Any series. Will, what is your vote? What do you think are the greatest episodes of Trek?
Original series, City on the Edge of Forever.
One of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pat?
Series or just my favorite out of any series?
Just what you would think your top three Trek series are from any series, or your top three Trek episodes from any series.
The Inner Light by from Next Generation, of course.
Yep.
Name of the episode. It's the one where Benjamin Sisko goes back in time to like the 30s or 40s, and the name escapes me. But it's one of my favorite episodes of that series. But I haven't seen that episode in a long time.
That's a great one too, where he plays that famous resistance leader.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that episode. Pat, what are your top three favorite Trek episodes of all time?
Dang, I can't. Probably now I can't remember three, but I can remember one.
Okay, what's your one?
All Good Things, the last episode of Next Gen. So,
yeah, All Good Things. That's great stuff. Let's see. My three would have to be the Menagerie, part 1 and 2 from the original series. I would do either Yesterday's Enterprise or Inner Light for Next Generation. Don't really have a greatest episode ever in Deep Space Nine, but Voyager, I would pick Equinox Part 1 and 2.
Yeah, those are great too. I like those. Yeah.
Let's see. Steven Stein goes Balance of Terror, the original series. It's Only a Paper Moon, DS9, and Journey to Babel. 3 wonderful episodes. So we'll have to we'll nail down which episodes we're going to watch this week, and we'll watch all 3 episodes, and then we'll talk about them next week. Let's see, either Sunday or Monday. What would be best for y'all, Sunday or Monday?
For me, probably Sunday would be good for me.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Or actually, any day would be good.
Sounds good to me. Let's see if the small world goes best of both worlds. Best of both worlds. I don't know who Beth of both worlds is. And Mirror Mirror. Yeah, wonderful. So we've got some good choices. So we'll pick 3 and we'll run through them. And then the following week we'll do the 3 worst episodes of Star Trek. And Warp 10 Salamanders is going to be on that list.
The torture.
Right.
Well, guys, thank you very much for having this conversation with me tonight. And thanks our chat. It's the same people every week, and I love it. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much for watching this show with us every week and giving your ideas and inputting in. We really do appreciate that. And we will be back next week with our best 3 episodes of Trek discussion. And thank you all very much for watching. I am Average Joe, the Average Geek, speaking for my wonderful bridge crew, Will Smith, Pat Whitehead, and live long and prosper. #Trekkie Parts.